Have you ever stopped to think about why we choose to be scared? I mean, you get everything from jump scares that make you leap out of your seat to like that slow creeping psychological dread. What is it that draws us in? Because honestly, it feels completely
It
counterintuitive.
really does. It's
Yeah.
one of those fascinating human things.
So today we're going to do a deep dive into horror films. We want to get beyond just the screams, look at the psychology, the history, even some surprising benefits maybe.
Yeah, the hidden upsides.
Exactly. And for this, we've looked at a whole range of stuff: academic papers, psych studies, media analysis, even just what horror fans themselves say. The mission is really to unpack why this genre, which, let's be honest, sometimes gets a bad rap.
Often dismissed.
Right. Why it's actually such a powerful force in culture, in our own heads.
Well, it's a great question. And this whole idea, this drive to seek out fear. Well, people who study this stuff, philosophers, psychologists, they often call it the paradox of horror.
Paradox of horror.
Yeah. Yeah, because we seem to be, pretty much the only species that deliberately seeks out scary experiences just for fun. It's
Yeah.
unique.
It is baffling, though. Why would you sign up for something unpleasant? You mentioned it's like a negative pleasure. How does that work?
Think of it like this.
Yeah.
You enjoy something that would normally be upsetting, but only because, deep down, that you're safe. It's controlled.
Ah, like seeing a tiger, but it's behind really thick glass.
Exactly. All the thrill, none of the actual, being eaten danger. It's contained fear.
Makes sense. And this isn't new, is it? This fascination goes way back.
Oh, absolutely. The roots of horror in film, they stretch right back to the beginning of cinema itself.
Like really early stuff.
Yeah. You've got Georges Méliès' Le Manoir du Diable from 1896, often called the first horror film. Lots of spooky supernatural elements.
Wow, 1896.
But even earlier, you have stories about the Lumiere brothers film, Arrival of a Train.
Oh, the train one, where people supposedly panicked.
That's the one, yeah. From 1895 or 96, apparently audiences genuinely thought the train was going to come right out of the screen. That's tapping into something really basic, that immediate fear response.
This is the power of the moving image back then.
And that builds on even older traditions, from literature. Gothic novels, Victorian ghost stories, they gave us Dracula, Frankenstein.
Characters we still see everywhere today.
Exactly. They laid the groundwork.
Okay, so then we move into cinema's golden age. The 20s and 30s, you get silent films like Nosferatu, Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, really creepy stuff designed to unsettle.
Visually very striking.
And then sound comes in, the talkies, and we get Universal's Frankenstein in 31. And that's when the actual term horror film starts being used, right? In the 30s.
It needed a label because it was becoming such a distinct thing.
Then after the war, things shifted again.
Yeah, the atomic years, the 40s and 50s. Suddenly the anxieties are about nuclear war, invasion. Very real fears.
And that shows up in the monsters.
Absolutely. Think Godzilla stomping through cities, or films like War of the Worlds. They were reflecting those big existential fears of destruction and the unknown.
Which kind of paved the way for the slasher movies in the 70s and 80s, your Texas Chainsaw, your Halloween.
Right. That became a huge subgenre. The idea of the relentless killer, often masked, invading seemingly safe places like suburbia.
It's funny, though, despite all this history and, let's face it, popularity, horror often gets treated like
The run to the cinema family is how some put it.
Yeah, critically, it's often looked down on.
Seriously. Like the Oscars, how many horror films have even been nominated for Best Picture? It's tiny.
It is. Only 6 horror or supernatural films ever nominated. And only one winner.
Silence of the Lambs, 1992.
That's the one.
But then you look at the box office, and it's a completely different story. People love these movies, like IT in 2017, that made, what was it?
Over $700 million globally. Huge numbers. Right. That's the biggest horror film ever financially. And that same year, 2017, you had 15 horror films grossing over $38 million. Compare that to 1989 when there were only 2.
Yeah, the audience appetite is just massive. Clearly outpacing the critical awards anyway.
Okay, so audiences are definitely there, but let's pin down what horror actually is. The word itself, horror, comes from Greek.
Yeah, fright. It means shudder. Captures that physical reaction like shivering or your hair standing on end.
And definitions talk about a spontaneous response to shocking visuals or like a mix of terror and revulsion.
Exactly. It hits you physically and emotionally. But psychologically, horror kind of gives us this doorway.
A doorway.
Into a made-up world, yeah. Where fears are dialed way up, but crucially, they can be managed, mastered even. It helps us give shape to, well, to the scary stuff, the evil things we imagine.
And our bodies definitely react like it's real, don't they? When you're watching, your heart pounds, blood pressure goes up, you breathe faster.
Oh, yeah. That's your sympathetic nervous system kicking in hard. The classic fight or flight response. It just floods your system with adrenaline, cortisol, the stress hormone.
Gets you ready to run.
Pretty much. But here's the interesting twist. That stress response also triggers endorphins.
Endorphins, like runner's high.
Kind of, yeah. They have these feel-good, almost pain-relieving effects, like a natural morphine. And that adds to that weird negative pleasure, the stress followed by relief, and maybe even a bit of euphoria.
Wow. Okay, so it's a whole chemical cocktail. But it's not just the visuals, right? Sound is massive in horror. Some people even say it's mostly about sound.
There's a strong argument for that, definitely. Think about it. A creaky door, a sudden scream off screen, that squelching noise you really don't want to know the source of.
Ugh, yeah. Instantly unsettling.
It really is. And you basically have two main types of sound working on you. First is diegetic sound.
Diegetic.
Sounds the characters in the movie can hear, like the sounds in the woods in the Blair Witch Project, twigs snapping, weird noises at night. It makes the threat feel real to them and so to us.
Puts you right there with them.
Exactly. Or even way back in 1931, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde used the sound of a human heartbeat to build suspense. Really innovative.
And the other type?
Non-diegetic sound. This is stuff the characters can't hear. It's just for us, the audience.
Ah, like the score, the music.
Precisely. Bernard Herrmann's screeching violins in Psycho. Pure non-diegetic terror. Or John Williams' two notes for the shark in Jaws. Dun dun.
Instantly recognizable, chilling.
Yeah, or John Carpenter's simple piano theme in Halloween. Carpenter himself said the movie just wasn't scary without his music. It's crucial.
It really guides the emotion. And speaking of sound tricks, the jump scare.
The classic jump scare. Probably the most common tool in the horror toolkit.
Works every time on me.
Well, it's designed to exploit our biology. It's usually a loud noise after silence, often with a sudden visual shock. It triggers your basic startle reflex. Hardwired.
Any early examples of that?
Yeah, a film called The Cat People from 1942 is often cited. There's this super tense scene where you're expecting an attack and bam! It cuts to a loud bus door opening. Perfect misdirection and startle.
Okay, this next finding seems weird, though. Does knowing a scare is coming make it worse? You'd think it would lessen it.
You would think. But no, research on priming shows the opposite. Often, if you tell adults, okay, a scary bit is coming up, their reported fright and upset actually increase.
Really? Why?
The anticipation builds. Your brain kind of winds itself up preparing for the threat, so when it hits, the reaction is bigger, the dread becomes part of the experience.
Huh. Okay, so our bodies and brains are going haywire, but who are the people who actually enjoy this stuff? Because clearly, not everyone does. Some people love it, some hate it.
Absolutely. Big individual differences. One major factor is a personality trait called sensation-seeking.
Sensation-seeking, like adrenaline junkies.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
It's the desire for experiences that are varied, new, complex, intense thrills, basically. And this trait tends to peak during adolescence.
Which is when a lot of people get into horror.
Exactly. High sensation seekers seem less bothered by threat cues. They might even find negative stuff stimulating or positive. Interestingly, what predicts enjoyment can differ slightly for men. It's often linked to thrill and adventure seeking, while for women, disinhibition, like a lack of restraint, plays a bigger role sometimes.
Okay, sensation-seeking makes sense. What about empathy? How does feeling for others affect things?
Empathy is another key piece. Generally, people lower in empathy and lower in fearfulness tend to enjoy graphic horror more.
So if you don't easily feel scared yourself or feel others' pain,
You're more likely to enjoy watching, well, simulated suffering. Specifically, traits like empathetic concern, feeling sympathy for others, and personal distress, getting upset yourself when others are hurt, those are linked to less enjoyment of horror, especially the stuff involving torture.
that tracks. Now, there's also a pretty consistent pattern in the research regarding sex and age, right?
Very consistent, yes. Men and boys tend to prefer, enjoy, and seek out horror more than women and girls do. They also report being less scared by it.
Any theories why?
Several ideas. Women might, on average, have higher disgust sensitivity or anxiety levels, which could make intent horror less appealing. There are also social factors.
Social factors.
Yeah, like social comparison.
Hmm.
Some studies found men enjoy horror more if they're with a female companion who seems distressed.
Oh, the old protector instinct, maybe.
Possibly. And women report enjoying films more with a guy they find appealing, especially if he seems masterful or unfazed by the scares. As for age, enjoyment generally declines after adolescence, probably tracking that decrease in sensation seeking over time.
Okay, and our general personality. Beyond sensation seeking, the big five traits, do they play a role?
They do seem to. Intellect imagination, which is also called openness to experience, basically how curious and open-minded you are, that's a strong predictor. People high in this seem drawn to horror, maybe for the intellectual stimulation, the novel ideas.
Interesting. What about the others?
Extroversion,
Mm.
links to enjoying horror socially, watching with friends. Agreeableness, being cooperative and considerate, that's linked to being more easily scared, but still enjoying horror in a social setting sometimes.
And what if you actually believe in ghosts or demons? Does that change what kind of horror you like?
It seems to. People with stronger paranormal beliefs often prefer supernatural horror, ghosts, possessions, that kind of thing, whereas people with weaker beliefs tend to go for more natural horror slashers, creature features.
So you simulate threats you find more plausible.
That seems to be the idea, yeah. You gravitate towards scares that feel, on some level, like they could happen based on your worldview.
Stepping back then, it's clear horror isn't just about cheap thrills. It often seems to reflect what's going on in society, our collective anxieties.
Oh, definitely. It holds up a mirror. Think about The Exorcist and Carrie in the 70s, coming out right around Roe v. Wade. They tapped into deep anxieties about female power, biology, autonomy.
Right when those issues were front and center.
Or Night of the Living Dead in '68. The hero is a black man who survives the zombies, only to be killed by a posse of white lawmen. Released during the Civil Rights Movement. It was incredibly potent commentary.
A real marker of the moment, as you said. And it continues, right?
Oh.
Slasher films emerging as anxieties rose about, say, suburban safety.
Exactly. Halloween brings the terror right into this supposedly safe neighborhood. Then you have films like Candyman in '92, exploring race, poverty, urban legends, and the Cabrini Green housing projects, blending supernatural horror with very real social commentary.
And science fears, too, like 28 Days Later?
Yeah, that came out around the time of the Human Genome Project, capturing fears about genetic manipulation, science gone wrong, or even Jennifer's Body in 2009.
Written and directed by women, right?
Yes, and it cleverly flips the script on how women are often portrayed, critiquing the male gaze and objectification. And of course, recently, Jordan Peele's films Get Out, Us, Nope, are masterful examples of using horror to explore race, class, history, exploitation.
So the genre is constantly evolving to reflect current fears. Now, this next idea is fascinating. Could watching horror actually be educational, like teaching us survival skills?
This sounds a bit out there, but there's a theory for it. Threat simulation theory, or evolutionary pedagogy.
Okay, break that down.
The idea is that monster movies, scary stories, they're like a modern version of pretended predation. Think of kittens play fighting. They were practicing hunting skills safely. We might be doing something similar with horror, exploring dangerous scenarios, possibility spaces, without any real risk.
Learning strategies passively.
Kind of. And people actually report learning things, like how to deal with moral compromises in an apocalypse after watching Resident Evil, or the need for global cooperation against aliens from Pacific Rim, or even about self-sacrifice from Train to Busan.
So we're picking up lessons even from zombie movies.
It seems so. And interestingly, audience enjoyment is often higher when the threats in monster movies tap into realistic concerns. Virus leaks, invasions, war. It suggests we're drawn to simulations that feel relevant to potential real-world dangers. Zombies and giant monsters are super popular, maybe reflecting these broad fears of contagion or overwhelming forces.
Beyond reflecting society and maybe even teaching us stuff, are there direct personal benefits to watching scary movies?
Surprisingly, yes. Quite a few potential ones. A big one is catharsis, emotional release.
Like purging negative emotions.
Exactly. Confronting fears in a safe space can let you process them. You see people online, like on Reddit, talking about how films like Scream, The Exorcist, Midsommar, even The Babadook, which deals with grief, help them release emotions or unpack trauma.
That's powerful. What else?
Well, there's that sense of control again. In a world with lots of real, uncontrollable stressors, a scary movie is fear you can just turn off, click a button. It gives you a feeling of agency.
Yeah, I can see that being appealing.
And for people with anxiety, it can sometimes work a bit like exposure therapy. Getting used to the physical sensations of fear in a safe setting might make real-world anxiety feel less overwhelming.
Normalizing the fear response.
Right. And remember, we talked about resilience. One study during the COVID-19 pandemic found that people who regularly watched horror films actually showed more psychological resilience. It's like they'd been practicing coping mechanisms for fear.
Wow. Like emotional push-ups.
Kind of. Then there's mindfulness. Because our brains are wired to pay attention to immediate threats, a horror movie can completely capture your focus. You're not worrying about bills or work. You're just there, in the moment.
A very intense form of mindfulness.
It is. And sharing that intensity bonds people. Watching scary stuff together creates strong memories, triggers that tend-to-friend response, releases oxytocin. It builds connection.
The love hormone from watching horror. Who knew?
Right. And then there are some minor physical things, claims of short-term calorie burn, like nearly 200 calories for watching The Shining.
Get fit watching horror.
Huh? Maybe. And potentially a temporary little boost to the immune system from the adrenaline surge.
Okay, but we need to add a caveat here, right? This is mainly for people who like horror.
Absolutely crucial point. These benefits apply mostly if you choose to watch and find some enjoyment or meaning in it. If you genuinely hate it or have, a strong psychological aversion, forcing yourself isn't going to help. It's okay if it's just not for you.
Right. So, wow, what a journey through the dark side of cinema. We've seen horror isn't just cheap scares. It's got this deep history, fascinating psychology. It reflects society.
It really does. It's a mirror, sometimes a teacher, maybe even a therapist for some.
It's way more complex than just making us jump.
Definitely. And the research keeps showing that for many people, seeking out fear, that paradox we started with, it's about exploring anxieties, building resilience, even connecting with each other in a really primal way.
So, next time you settle down for a good scare, maybe remember all that complexity bubbling beneath the surface. You're not just getting spooked. You're tapping into something uniquely human, something that's been part of our stories for ages.
A very long time.
Which leaves us with a thought. If horror films help us explore our current fears and maybe even learn from them, what anxieties are lurking just beneath the surface now, waiting for the next generation of filmmakers to tap into? And what new kinds of survival guides might we end up watching?